Hello, everybody. I'm Andrew Jenkins. This is a short countdown timer to help the various feeds catch up with each other and settle down. And we're never quite sure whether we go live or not, but we think we're live now. So, and we can't wait for today's groovy show, folks. And we're going to be hanging out with partner of Nyman Libson Paul, chartered accountants, Laurence Fishman, the Morpheus of accounting. I love that. And fast-growing business rockstar. How about that then? And our theme today is business growth. Scale up by doing it the human way. Woo! So give us a quick wave and a quick hello, Laurence.
Morning, everybody.
There we go. Fantastic. Yeah, it's brilliant to see you. And Mrs. Moderator herself, Sarah Jenkins, FD of PDX. Say a quick hello for us, Sarah.
Good morning, good morning. Looking forward to the show this morning.
Likewise.
And it looks like feed is coming through.
The feed is
happy days.
Happy days. There we go. Yep, and we've got people joining up already, which is good. Fantastic. Oh, there we go. And we have Tilly's gang from Marketing CX in the background, just in case the comments don't go through, they can take over from their end. LinkedIn has been giving us some very weird issues recently with how many people are on live and things like that, and it's just very strange. But yeah, we're looking forward to a great show today. And so with Laurence, me, Sarah, Ghost, our sponsors, and Marketing CX, that's the team for today. Wow. Boom, there we go. So, oi, oi, gang, hi, peeps, and it's Leaders Live showtime, folks. It's just after 8:45 a.m. here in the UK, and we are live with Leaders Live, spreading the love, folks, spreading the love. Yabba dabba do, you know how it goes. And hope you enjoyed that groovy opener as well, gang. And we're delighted that we're being powered by our sponsors, brand and design agency, Ghost. Whoop. And we'll talk a little bit more about them a little bit later on. And and please let us know if our audio is coming through too. Okay, as well. That would be very helpful. Thank you. And if you're new to Leaders Live, a warm welcome to you. And Leaders Live is a dynamic weekly talk show that generates business through networking, through community and extraordinary conversations that inspire, just like we're going to have with our Laurence today. And as I mentioned in the countdown, I'm Andrew Jenkins, and I host this interactive weekly Leaders Live show that's built an awesome community of like-minded leaders. So please don't be shy. We'd love you to introduce yourself to you as you're doing already, and we'll come to Sarah in a moment to pick those up, our moderator, and join in and interact with the comments and chat and ask questions as we go along. That's how we roll, folks. And we have three simple rules: a safe community, mutual respect, and no selling in the room, please. And our motto here is I to the power of we. And a really easy way that you can just show some support for this free show that we put a lot of time and effort to produce this for you folks, is that you can buy me a coffee, and it's buymeacoffee.com/leaderslive. You buy me $5 and you get half an hour coaching session free as well, folks. And the link will come in the feed shortly, but it looks something like this if I can get it to work. And you get a free mention as well when you buy me a coffee, and it comes up like that. Yay! How good is that? So we think it's a bit of fun. So there we go. And yep, quickly smash those likes and thumbs up too, folks. We really appreciate that. That keeps us motivated. I love that little bell. And this talk show really enables you to listen to great content, but there's so much more when you subscribe to our email list as well, because you get great leadership skills, teaching and value to equip you to lead well, and you get freebies and updates along the way. What's not to like? So to make it real simple, we now have this single link in Utree, which the link will come up shortly, that you can grab all of my links here and subscribe as well. So if you put it all together, what have you got? You've got it. Bibbidi, bibbidi, bobbidi, boo. I love that. So here we go. So let's bring in this week's Leaders Live Hangout guest. It's our Laurence Fishman. How you doing, Laurence? Good morning.
Oh, good. Thank you. It's a very early start, Andrew. I can't believe you made an afternoon session or... No, but good morning to you. How are you doing?
Good. I'm doing very well. And our theme today, Laurence, is business growth. Scale up by doing it the human way. So, get us going, Laurence. Tell us briefly a little bit about yourself and your background, and also tell us where we're heading today, and give us a big picture of our sort of direction of travel today, Laurence.
Well, in a nutshell, I am a chartered accountant, which I know is probably going to lose you about half of your watchers straight. But but yeah, my journey is a little bit different to a lot of chartered accountants in that
Yeah.
I come from a creative background first and foremost. I grew up
Mm.
around art and music and things that you
Wow.
wouldn't necessarily associate with an accountant.
Mm.
But I was always quite good at numbers, and I needed a blooming job, so I fell into accountancy. That said, my father is now retired, and my uncle were also chartered accountants, so maybe I was doomed from birth.
Just maybe,
Makes
yeah.
me wonder. I started my career at one of the big sort of international firms, but realized as my career progressed that I was probably better suited to the mid-tier space because of the fact that you really get to understand, you sort of get under the skin of a business a little bit more, and you're dealing with the owner managers.
Yeah.
And that's sort of the theme of today, which is kind of advising and doing business with a human touch. And that was what I sort of requested to you that we sort of focus on today.
Yeah.
So yes, I am a
Brilliant.
chartered accountant partner of a firm called Nyman Libson Paul. Yeah, we're a London-based practice, but we do have an international footprint as well. 18 partner firm, about 120 staff.
Yeah, yeah, and you look after some famous people as well, so rock stars and all sorts and actors and
Yeah, it's a fair point. We sort of our DNA is in the entertainment space, so we look after lots of media clients, full spectrum of media. I'm talking about film, TV, theatre, front
wow.
and back, behind camera. But also my specialism is more around kind of PR, marketing, advertising
Okay.
agency,
Oh.
and also tech. A lot in tech as well.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, you're in good hands here because we like the tech in this in Leaders Live as well. So yeah, so there we are, and let's just give a quick round of applause to you so you can feel the love. I hope you enjoyed the groovy build up. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so you've got an audience question as well, I think, Laurence. Give us your audience question so we can get the audience going with some interaction here.
No problem. I mean, I just thought to kind of get the mindset right here today and focusing on such. I just wondered whether anyone had an anecdotal story or wanted to share their experience where they've been growing their own business, maybe rapidly, and the challenge they faced was trying to retain those core values and retain that human touch in doing so. And that's kind of, I've always found that's one of the biggest challenges with growth. It's very easy to lose your way. So if anyone's got a story they want to share, that would be great.
Brilliant. Okay, so the question is in the feed. What's the biggest challenge you've faced when trying to scale up your business, and how did you overcome it while still keeping the human touch? There you go. The question's in the feed. You could please interact with that question, and we'd love to hear your stories as well. There's a delay in the feed, so to catch up. So it just takes a little while for us to get whatever's coming up. So we'll come back to you in a tick. Laurence. So just while we're just waiting for that to catch up, let's introduce our Mrs. Moderator in the room, Sarah Jenkins, FD of PDX Consulting. How you doing, Sarah?
I'm doing really well, thank you. Yeah, and it's nice to see comments are coming up.
Yeah.
It's nice to have a couple of comments from people I've not come across before. So it looks like we've got a couple of new people.
Who we
and
got?
It's lovely to see Steve Whittle on.
Yeah, hello, Steve.
Yay.
Yeah,
Good morning to Christopher Beekmans. That's a name I've not seen in the feed.
Oh, yeah. Hi, Christopher.
Lovely. Jim Wolfe and our lovely favourites. So Maria and Joe and David Agnew from Ghost. Good to hear that the sponsors are all listening in for us, keeping us in check. So yeah.
Brilliant. And good to see
the first comment from Christopher is, can you go into some detail in what you mean by losing the human touch?
Without losing the human touch. Okay,
what do you mean by losing the human touch?
Well, is that for me?
Yeah, go for it. Go for it. Yeah.
I just think, especially in my industry anyway, and sort of finance, it's very, very easy to be focused on the transactional side of what we do. And I think what I learned as my career developed is that clients are not commodities. They're just not. They're people with lives, family, stresses, and everything that goes with, life. And again, it's kind of why I focus my career on that mid-tier space where you're dealing with the owner managers and not their finance teams, because you really, really get to add value that way. So I think that's what I meant. I think if you're kind of human in your approach and you don't view the service relationship as purely transactional, I think that's the icing on the really boring accountancy cake that that a lot of accountants maybe fail to realize, or maybe they're not again, this is probably a bit controversial because there are lots of very human accountants, but there are also some that are more what you'd kind of consider a classic accountant. They're numbers guys or ladies who can do the number piece very well, but maybe are not so comfortable around the human interaction
human
piece.
touch. And I think actually for my answer to for Christopher and for others that are now popping stuff in the feed is, look, I think business success in today's rapidly changing world is really all about the people factor, which is why we produce this show, actually, because it's the people that will make the difference. We've got all the processes, we've got all the business structures, and we know how to run really great businesses with all the processes. The one thing that we've really haven't tackled as human beings in business, I believe, is the human touch and really getting to grips with that and not just paying it lip service. This isn't just about training your people. This is about really understanding, having soft skills and empathy with people, so that, our customers benefit and our staff benefit and people enjoy working for us and they love coming to work, etc. So it's about culture, and that's another answer as well. So creating the right sort of cultures is where I think this is going as well. And we'll talk a little bit about that a little bit later, Christopher, won't we, Laurence, I think? Yeah. Super.
Culture plays a big part in this too.
Massively, yeah. Let's just quickly pop to the moderators. A lot going on in the chat. Sarah, pick us up. Where are we going on in the chat?
Okay, so Maria Jeffers said she had an appointment with a call with an appointment booker a few weeks ago.
Oh, yeah.
But actually decided to continue to put the time in herself to reach out to people because the personal touch is working for her.
Yeah.
So, it's so easy, isn't it? There's so much advertising. Oh, we can
do
book
this
your
for
appointments. We can get you leads. We can get you clients. And yes, they can, they can get people to agree to a phone call, but actually, is it the right way to go? I'm not sure.
Is it the right way to go? Yeah. What else is going on? Thank you.
Let's have a look. Jim Wolf, we put
Hello,
our
Jim.
values at the heart of everything. Looking back, this probably led to slower growth, but a stronger, sustainable business was highlighted in the pandemic as we retained our staff whilst our competitors struggled with recruitment.
And retainment as well, retaining as well.
Yeah,
Laurence.
I think a great point. I just want to jump in there if I can.
Yeah, by all means.
Jim, by the way, Jim's an absolute legend. But
hi, legend, Jim.
I think COVID has a big part in the way business has evolved as well, because as much as there was lots to hate about COVID, I think one of the things that I think the world has benefited from COVID is the fact that we all went through a little bit of a kind of social revolution, or an evolution, I guess you could call it, in that people did, for the first time maybe ever, stopped for a minute, looked around you, and took stock of where your life was going. And I think people really took the time to reflect and maybe got back to those core values that maybe got lost a little bit over time.
Yeah, and growing organically, I think Jim's point is spot on. When we grow, maybe a bit slower, but we bring everybody with us, right? And these are really important things. Okay, thank you. And what else is going on, Sarah?
Let's look. Rebecca Jenkins, the human touch is everything in business. In my experience, without it, you can't successfully grow a business. Because I think, if you take new clients on, they want to feel listened to. They want to feel that their business is important to you.
Yeah.
I think that's true. There was a poll that you ran this week, Andrew, but I think that human touch enhances customer loyalty in a world now where switching costs are really low and barriers to entry are even lower. So, certainly in my industry, you could pretty much download a subscription of Xero and load up a laptop and call yourself an accountant. My view, that's not an accountant, by the way.
You have to be qualified first, don't you?
Well, yes and no. Yes and no. And that's exactly the point. I think, I am a chartered accountant. I did have to go through the rigmarole of going through all those chartered accounts exams.
Absolutely.
But some people don't necessarily appreciate the difference between one and the other. So it's a good point. It's a good point.
Okay. Yeah. Sarah, what else is going on? Thanks, Laurence.
Jonas says his personality is probably what has enabled him to scale the company.
Oh, that's a nice comment. Just trying to find that.
Personal when working with companies like Mitsubishi, experience much interest, and it's the fact that he is just himself.
Unapologetically myself. I
Unapologetically
love
myself.
that. Yeah,
Absolutely,
very nice.
Jonas.
Good morning, Jonas. Fantastic. What else?
Let's
great.
have a look. This one's from Kieran, I think. How does Laurence find the balance from him winning stroke signing the client, but needing his team to be on the same level of people skills to support the client and do the actual work?
Oh, I
That's
haven't
a
got
really
that
good
comment. Oh, yes, I've got that comment. Here it is. That one there, is it, Sarah?
Yes.
That's a great question. Look, I'm only as strong as the team around me. And that sounds really cliched, but it's true. I don't have enough man hours to be able to service the client in every single capacity. I do the onboarding piece. Obviously, I going back to what one of your commenters mentioned before, I would never let anyone uh, sort of scope work out for me. I meet the client, I do the exploratory meetings, I try and understand what they need from us. And if I'm successful, then I personally close that deal. But when the client comes in, although I'm always their first port of call, I will always be their main contact. I'm not the guy who literally sits there tapping in every single number into the account software. So and I also I do try and empower my team. I've always been like this. I trust them. I trust them implicitly, and I want them to deliver the same level of service that I deliver. So I'm not. Some of the old school accountants would say the client only knows me. You guys are just backroom boys and girls. You just do the stuff behind the scenes, and the client will only really ever deal with me. That's not how I work. I like, in fact, every single client that comes on board gets immediately introduced to the entire infrastructure that sits around me. It's an ecosystem.
Yeah.
It's literally an ecosystem. Everyone is allocated a business services manager, an accounts manager, a tax manager. All of us become their sort of network, if you like.
How important that is.
It is, but it opens up another big question, which I think we're going to talk about later anyway, so I won't touch on it too much now, which is making sure you've got the right people, because having the wrong people means that ecosystem falls apart very quickly.
Very good point. Yeah, you need to have good people to make that work, don't you? And I completely agree with that. And we will pick up that later, as well as the poll as well, which you mentioned. Sarah, what else is going on in the feed? There's some really interesting comments coming up.
There certainly is. So Christopher Beekman, it's an interesting one. When I think about the question, he was unsure how to answer it.
Yeah.
Because the way we operate is very much we're selling ourselves and the relationship over anything else. We know our solution works. So our biggest USP we have is ourselves. And so having a connection and building a relationship is key. It's meant our growth has taken a huge hit, but as a result, we've seen much better projects for it. Trading time for now, value later is our model.
I love that. And Sarah, if I can just pick up on your business. So Sarah is the finance manager for a company called Ghost, our sponsors actually, and their team work really well cohesively together, and also introduce Sarah, to their clients as well. Not only just to get paid, so they make sure that Sarah's in front of them to say, "This is the lady who you're going to upset if you don't get paid, but if you don't pay us." But also, because she's part of the team, and I think that's really important. And I think that's what you're picking up on, Laurence. Is that right? The whole team get involved, right?
Well, look, the key point to raise there is that, like a lot of us, I can't sit here and lie and say that what we do is groundbreaking in terms of the end product, the tangible end product. An accountant will deliver you a set of right or wrong, but hopefully right accounts.
One would hope so, right?
An accurate accounts, an accurate tax return, the right advice. So where's the USP there? The USP there is to making sure that you do it in a way that matches your client's expectations. And that usually does mean, in my opinion anyway, because I'm a customer too in all sort of different scenarios, is going above and beyond and not just delivering a vanilla compliance. So there are a lot of compliance outfits out there. This is what I alluded to before.
Okay.
You can be a compliance outfit and you can bang out your VAT returns every quarter for a client, charge peanuts, and you'll probably be okay if that's the service the client's expecting.
Gotcha.
But at the next level up, clients expect that little bit more,
Yeah, clients expect that little bit more. Okay, and just to finish off, Sarah, there's some stuff going on with Joe and Matthias and things. Do you want to pick up on any of that, Sarah?
Yeah, just that Matthias was saying he excellent point you made, Laurence, that people were given time to think during COVID and focus on the values that really matter. And that's why the focus on employee engagement and workplace wellness, etc., has seen such a massive increase.
Good
And
point.
and Jo, she worked for a leading Lincolnshire newspaper in the 90s, and she was pulled to one side and being reprimanded for being herself, as it wasn't professional. Gave the paper a bad name, but her figures are always the highest.
Yeah,
Speaks for itself, doesn't it?
it speaks for itself. I've met Jo. Jo is awesome, and she's a great person to connect to if you haven't done so. A consummate salesperson. She knows how to sell really well because she uses the human touch there, Laurence.
Jo is brilliant. I know Jo, but and hello, Jo, by the way. Thanks for the question or the comment. Yeah, I completely agree. There's a balance. I have to say, occasionally I have to rein myself in, or I have to rein in.
Yeah, Laurence.
Being honest, but I kind of, my default is not to think too much, and I know that sounds a bit basic, but I really do put my best foot forward in that. I learned after many years, because I'm old now. I learned after many years that actually being something I'm not isn't going to work. That's faking it. You might be okay, and have a decent career, but to really explode your career, and thank God I have in many ways, not in a showy way, but my career's gone really well for me, is that I eventually got to the point where I just thought, actually, I'm just going to be me authentically, 100%. And lots of people will not like it, and that's absolutely fine. They're not people I'll ever work with, but those who do will really enjoy working with me. And I think that's that's worked for me.
Yeah, and let's dig into a bit more about you and your approach and the human touch. And I know you're a partner of Nyman Libson Paul, and and you work a lot with tech-based growth, which I'm really interested in myself. What's your philosophy? You mentioned about balance, and what's your philosophy on balancing rapid business growth, which is talked about in the feed today? Do we slow down? Do we slow our growth down, or do we speed it up? And maintaining that positive company culture that has been talked about this morning already, just to retain that top talent, because that's another thing that you talked about, getting the right people. Talk us a little bit about that, Laurence.
Well, every company out there in every industry wants growth, right?
Right.
The name of the game. Growth could mean profits and more success and more opportunities, but there's always a price that comes with kind of fast growth. I specialize in dealing with fast growth businesses, and the challenge is there that whilst the numbers might look good on paper, it's very easy to lose the culture and the ethos and the heart of a business if you grow too quickly. And suddenly bring in the wrong people. So for me, those core values, the kind of culture you're hanging your hat on, is so important to instill and promote and reinforce every single step of the way, just to make sure that it doesn't get lost in the mix. I think another way of doing that is by rewarding those that demonstrate and live by those values. We talk about social focus as well. I think business work has to be fun. We spend so much of our lives in the office. It's really hard as an accountant, right? Because inherently, it's not something you think of as being fun. But I think if you get the right blend of people in the office, it can be fun. I'm not sure whether that's my camera that's playing up. Is my camera okay, guys?
Yours is okay. Our end, it's okay. Yeah. Laurence has got a bit of a slow camera his end, but it's actually coming through okay, I think.
Good. As long as you can all see, that's fine. So I think an element of fun, an element of empathy. I think again, COVID brought that out of us. I think we all know now that having been through some tricky times, having empathy for those around you is important. And I suppose the last point there is it comes from the leadership. So if your leadership are truly passionate about the people side of a business, the trickle down should work, and that can be massive. That can be kind of a big, kind of showy things that you're introducing, or it could just be something as basic as having an open door policy. Just
simple
actually
stuff.
Just being human. For me, I think I've never been one for hierarchy, probably because I'm someone that kind of I wouldn't call myself a rebel, but I don't like
a rebel to a cause, right?
in the
yeah.
Kind of. for me, you know, I never, even though I am one of the partners there, I am very senior in the context of our business. I
Yeah.
like a shallow hierarchy. I don't want people to, you know, at the kind of entry level to feel like, oh my gosh, I can't speak to Laurence because he's you
Too
know
high up.
one of the
Yeah.
partners. So
Gotcha.
so yeah, that's where I'm at with that.
Yeah, very interesting. I like that idea of leveling up, and there's lots going on in the feed, which I'm going to come on to in a moment, just to let you know. I've not forgotten about the feed, folks. So we'll come back to that in a moment. But just in your experience, Laurence, what are some of the key characteristics or traits that successful entrepreneurs, businessmen do or work on when it comes to scaling their business? I mean, you mentioned a few here, like fun, empathy. I would add joy and love to that as well, and leadership, being passionate. What else, Laurence? What other characteristics do you think are important?
I think you just touched upon some of the softer ones, but I
Yeah.
think there's all the other traits that I try and make sure are part of my makeup. Well, the first thing I think I'd say is that quite often true leaders, real leaders, this sounds a bit cliche. They're born, they're not made. You either have that leadership quality in you or you don't. I
Okay.
think it's very hard. I think it's hard to learn that.
Mm.
But what other traits? I guess very, very highly motivated, intensely self-assured, fiercely competitive, strong ethics. Strong ethics, in integrity, I
Ethics.
think is important.
Mm.
Um, a willingness to fail, I think is a quirky one because
Oh, yes.
with innovation, and I'm passionate about innovation. I think you have to be prepared to fail sometimes and deal with that.
Yeah.
And I suppose the last one that I think my career, uh, I believe I put a lot of my success in my career down to the fact that I was and still am to an extent a serial networker. So I
Oh, yeah.
literally from about the age of 22, 23, I made sure that my little black book is as bulletproof as it could possibly be. And I really hustled there. I literally used to put
Yeah.
myself about, go meet every manager. And I was an absolute nobody. I still am in many ways, but I was a total nobody. But I had a lot of front, or as I'm Jewish, and it's a real Yiddish word, this, but I had a lot of chutzpah. Chutzpah means I
Love that word.
nothing changed me. I would I would pick up the phone to someone extremely senior at a bank and just say, look, this is what I do. This is who I am. I'd love to grab a coffee with you, and it's on me. Can we? And for every one or two that said no, there were two or three that said yes. And then once I'm in front of someone, and if there's natural chemistry there, then you build that relationship, and things come from that. It might take years. Sometimes it's like planting a seed. It can take years to come to fruition, but at 43, some of those are really bearing fruit, which is great for me.
Very interesting. I love the way
Yeah.
you've tackled that, and I like the way you challenge some of the softer things. And both are important, right? There was I can come on to the comments in a moment, but there's some really great networkers in this room as well, like Jack and Maria and Joe and Mateus and Jonas. Some really powerful networkers, and Rebecca. In fact, everybody that's on that I know here are really powerful networkers. Steve Whittle, etc. And really understand that, and that's something that has really only just come up in the last decade or so in terms of the importance. It's always been there, but I think even more now, it's really important that we understand what networking is all about and how to do that well. So I think that's really interesting. And just a quick one on, I don't know if you remember way back in the sort of 80s, 90s, do you remember the Seattle fish market phenomenon that was going on? Phenomenal, just a team of people that flay fish every day and sell fish in a market in Seattle. Nothing special, smelly old fish. And yet they wanted to be the best fish market in the world. That's how they set themselves up to. So they started throwing fish about to each other and catching them and making a show of it. And this became world famous, their stuff. And it was really interesting listening to the boss talk, because the boss said, look, the key things that have made us really successful is to coach our team, and whoever's the best at flaying or doing something with fish or advising people on what fish tastes of what or whatever, we would use those people to talk to our customers and talk to them endlessly about fish. Brilliant. And he encapsulated his whole team and said, you know what, this is the best team I've ever had, and I love them and they love me. What a statement to make. Beautiful, isn't it?
That is beautiful. I can't say that every business is the same. I think that's quite a unique story.
That's special.
But it's something to strive to, though. I think a little bit of showmanship, some entrepreneurial spirit, doing things a little differently there. I think there's definite lessons there.
Sure. I completely agree. Making it special for the customer, right? Yeah. Just give you a break for a minute, Laurence. Mrs. Moderator, what's going on? There's tons going on.
So much going on. However, I'm going to start it off with a question Rebecca Jenkins put in.
Oh, yes.
Laurence, do you have any specific approaches to ensure you have the best team?
Oh, here we go. There it is. Yeah.
This is a really tricky question because the recruitment market is tough at the moment. I have to say it's a really tough market. On a personal level, and this is not a Nyman Libson Paul thing, this is a me thing.
Yeah.
I've always recruited on chemistry, and I know that sounds again really basic, but I think
well done.
My worst hire, I won't say too much in case by sod's law she's logged in. My worst hire ever was someone that on paper was brilliant, and every answer I do quite a lot of sort of interviewing recruitment. Every single answer she gave was so polished and so perfect.
Picture perfect.
I absolutely need to hire this person. And I was made to fire her after 2 weeks because I was the one who made the call.
Yeah.
So everyone said, "You bloody hired her, you get rid of her." And she was hopeless in every single way.
Yeah.
I sort of reflected on that and thought back and why did I get that so wrong? And I realized there was absolutely no, talking about human touch again, there was nothing about her that I particularly liked other than the fact that she'd obviously second guessed the questions I was going to ask her because they were, fairly generic, and she polished an answer off to the nth degree and delivered it spectacularly, and I fell for it like an idiot. So I think when I interview, I look for heart, for people that would fit the culture, for something like a bit of spark, a bit of magic that you wouldn't necessarily be able to define. It's not a tangible thing, it's an intangible thing. And those people don't come by that often, to be honest with you, to find that spark. But I'd much rather hire someone that I think had all the raw ingredients to be an absolute blooming superstar than someone who technically had the full level of experience I'm looking for. Sometimes you can teach the experience, the technical piece.
And the skills.
Some of it is with practical experience, and some of it is straight out of a textbook. So bit of I think I don't know if that fully answers the question, but I think for me, there is no right or wrong answer here because there's no job market. But hey,
I like the chemistry thing. Yeah, go on, Sarah.
I was going to say, interestingly, so would you say with the chemistry thing, can you get that by interviewing via Zoom, or do you find it needs to be face to face?
That's a good question as well. If you'd asked me that 2 years ago, I would have said not a chance. It has to be face to face. I need to see the whites of their eyes. But another thing that COVID did, right? I now have, and I thank it in some ways, because I now have a number of very large international clients that I may not have had if it wasn't for Zoom, because I don't need to get on a plane to see them anymore. They don't need to come on a plane to see me anymore. They're not necessarily focused on the logistical side of whether a decision makes sense. They're just going, Laurence is the guy I want to work with, regardless, which is great for me, obviously. And we're happy to do 99.9% of our dealings via Zoom. And I think you lose maybe 2-3% of the chemistry you'd get in person, but not much more than that. We're doing it now, aren't we? We're kind of having a conversation.
Yeah, we are.
It's almost like sitting in the living room having a cup of tea with you. So, I don't think it takes too much away.
Okay, that's really useful. Thank you, Sarah.
Lots on the feed, lots about being human and how important that is. Jack Wright, it's about doing what you say you are going to do. His reputation is more to him than any amount of money. Yeah, if you promise the world and don't deliver, then your reputation is going to be a bit rubbish, isn't it?
Yeah, well said, Jack.
Great.
Morning, Jack.
Oh, here's another one from Rebecca Jenkins. You're on fire this morning.
Reb's on fire. There we go.
Absolutely. It would be good to hear your view from Mary Porthouse, who says that John Lewis has lost their soul. And
Ooh.
having an employee-owned business, do you think that increases the human touch?
Ah, lovely question. Well done, Rebs.
Well, look, I had actually, because it was in my last firm, a client that had an ESOP, which is literally an ownership sort of plan where every one of the staff there has an element of ownership, which I can see being a hook because everyone feels fully vested in the mission and the project or the business that they're working for. Does it always work in practice? Not always, because I think that can sometimes muddy the waters. I think it's almost as important, maybe more important, to have the right leadership team. I think leadership is, it really can define, make or break a business. You can have a fantastic, and I see it all the time, by the way, because the challenge with tech, I have to say, and it's why I've got some more grey hairs than I would have liked, at the back here, is with tech, you can have a true story. You can have a fantastic product. You can have a fantastic, you know, thing that you're trying to sort of take to market. But if the management team is wrong, it won't succeed. It won't succeed.
Yeah, spot
So
on.
yeah, I think interesting.
Say that again, Laurence. We just missed you there. Oh, we've lost Laurence.
No, it's okay. I just said it's an interesting question. Are we
Yeah.
Hear me?
Yeah, we just lost you just a little bit. Just give you a break while your feed catches up for a minute. Sarah, there's some comment from Jim Wolf, which I thought was really good, to pick up on where Laurence was just a moment ago.
Yeah, to be able to lead, you have to first win the battle of your own emotions.
Oh, I think that is so true and well said, Jim. I completely agree with that. Yeah, go on, Sarah.
I'm also going to say, so Matthias is actually going to disagree when you said that leaders can't be made. He feels that leaders can be made. Some people have traits from a young age that make them natural leaders, but certainly other people can mature through experience and learn those skills. So, yeah, I think somebody who's not a natural born leader can grow into it, is where he's coming from.
Lovely. I can't find that comment. I'll find it in a moment. So, yeah, lovely. Well said, Matthias. Yeah, nice challenge as well. Yeah.
So Steve Whittle, hire slow, fire fast.
I saw that. Yeah, well done, Steve. Great to see you, Steve. Brilliant. Yeah, go on. Sorry.
Lots of positives for recruiting with chemistry and passion. And Matteo says that a friend in Norway is working on developing a new recruitment system that is supposed to get rid of the biases. So it's a move towards blind recruitment where the best candidate, regardless of the background, is selected. That's quite an interesting one.
Very interesting. Yeah. Yeah, it's like The Voice, isn't it, on TV? Yeah.
It is. I mean, can you hear me okay now,
guys? Yeah, we can. Yeah, well.
I think, look, everyone would say this, but I mean this. I don't think I've ever, and I would never, recruit on anything other than who the right person was for the job.
Yeah.
I'm sort of quite passionate and set in my way about that because I like giving everyone an equal opportunity. In fact, if anything, my bias swings the other way. I think if I see someone walking into the room that's kind of Oxbridge, I might actually judge them harsher.
Yeah.
Because of that. To be fair.
So yeah, but I
mean, I'd be interested to sort of find out more about. Yeah. No, it's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
We did this poll, Laurence, leading up to the build up to this event. Yeah. And, as a leader, why do you think humanizing business is important? And, here's the scores on the doors, kids. Enhances customer loyalty, 43%, fosters collaboration, 29%, boosts business success, 24%. Don't agree, not important, 5%. That's interesting, isn't it? What do you think there, Laurence?
I'm not surprised at all. In fact, I voted. So I voted.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
I voted for that one as well. And I think, goes back to what I said earlier. I think in a competitive marketplace, you have to find USPs that may extend beyond the product or the service delivery or the service itself. And I think that does come down to, the people fit. Does that person feel like they align with your values? And if they do, they're less likely to look elsewhere. um, in my opinion. I think clients are more loyal to you when they feel like they understand you and you understand them. Um,
Yeah, spot on.
yeah,
Lovely.
it's
Well said.
I can two and three as well. I think both of those have some merit too.
There we go.
But
Two
for
or
me,
three.
it's the enhanced loyalty one.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
I agree. I agree. And,
for sure.
I was stuck on where to answer on this one. I think I plumbed for boost business success in the end for me. But yeah, I get all of those things. And, if we've got the human touch, we enhance customer loyalty. We do all three of those, I reckon.
Yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
true. I don't know who people don't agree, but yeah, I think they might need to look at themselves in the mirror and give their head a wobble.
Well, I think the days have gone where you just turn up for work and you don't bring your personality in, or your who you really are, because it's not about what we do. I believe business success in the future and today and right now isn't about necessarily what we do. That's just a given. That yeah, you need to know what you're doing, absolutely, but experience and what you do, that's just given. The bit that's extra is the people. It's the who in you, not just what you do. Do you like that? That's the who in you, not what we do.
Definitely, it's very good, but it's true as well. I completely concur. It's bang on. As I said earlier, especially if you're in a service industry where there is lots and lots of competition, like in my industry, that's one of the key USPs. The actual service is quite homogenous in a way. As I
Yeah,
said, delivery of a set of accounts, as long as it's right, will be. I would never lie to anyone and say my accounts are, the tangible end product. My accounts are better than Joe Blogs down the road, who's also got an accounting firm. In theory, they're both right. So
mm,
no real difference there. What you're paying for is the experience, the advice, the expertise, the way it's delivered, and those sorts of things. So yeah, that's the differentiator for me anyway.
brilliant. I like that. And talk about differentiators. What does the role of kind of high performance teamwork, soft skills, and collaboration play in scaling businesses successfully, Laurence? How do you foster those kind of qualities? How do you bring them together, Laurence?
No, with difficulty, I think
Mm,
again, I mentioned it earlier, having some core values. I think that's one of the things that it instills that sense of collective responsibility, is having a set of values that you
core
live
values.
by. And they can, and I know this sounds a bit contrived, but I think sometimes those values can come after the event. So you might have sort of you
Absolutely.
don't necessarily need those values day one. Some people are so focused on the values on day one before they've even got a business. I think they can develop. You can be, a year down the line, 6 months down the line, 3 years down the line, it doesn't really matter. But you get to a point where you think we've got enough bodies in the building now that we need to decide and define our identity. Once you've defined that identity, everyone lives by those. It can be a bit, a chicken and egg. It's a bit chicken and egg, but I think either way, the chicken or the egg both need to exist. Um, so that for me is the linchpin of making that work.
So interesting what you've just said there. And I'm just going to tease that open a little bit further. So it sounds to me that you talked about core values, and culture is a really important thing. But the really important piece that you mentioned there, which I think is worthwhile just pausing on for a moment and engaging, you guys listening and watching as well, folks, is that look, culture. If we don't do something deliberate about culture, culture forms itself, and that doesn't always mean it's good. So I think high performance and collaboration and the business success factors come from deliberately spending time developing and shaping your culture, and that takes time, and it doesn't come straight out the box. And as Laurence said, it's something you tackle a little later when you understand, well, what have we got now? Do we like what we've got? How do we improve it? So culture isn't just something that shapes by default. It does if you don't do anything with it, and quite often that's not always good. The key thing here, as Laurence has just said, is that we have to shape it. We have to deliberately work on it. Is that the point that you're trying to make there, Laurence?
There's two further points.
Yeah.
The first, one size doesn't fit all. It never
Oh,
does.
yeah.
So every business, every industry will have its own
Mm,
idea of what a culture should look like. And
yeah.
the other thing is, although I think our culture is now better than it was, I'm not going to say it's definitely not perfect, but it's better than it
but it's you
was maybe
working on
3,
it,
4
right?
years ago.
Yeah.
It's exactly the point. I think it's an evolution that never
Evolution.
stops, and I
Love it.
think it, I think you constantly have to check yourself at every juncture. I'm not saying you do it daily necessarily, but as the years go by, every 6 months, every year, you kind of look back over your shoulder and go, what did we do right? What did we not do right? What lessons can we take from the last year? Oh, sugar, we really should have that was badly handled. We really should have done better there. Now we know for future reference when the same sort of scenario comes up, how we'd handle it better. So I think no one should beat themselves up over it because there is no right or wrong answer. But I think it's something that people should prioritize as being one of the facets of a business that's really important to get right,
Perfect.
or as right as they can get.
Oh, magic words there. Look, prioritize culture building, folks, because that's the key that gives you the success that you need. Brilliant, Laurence. Thank you for that. That's really interesting. Yeah, I just love that phrase, evolution, and it just reminds me of the movie Paul. Evolution, baby, evolution. That just occurred to me. Let's give ourselves a break for a moment and bring in our wonderful moderator again. Sarah, what's going on?
Oh, lots of things going on. Yeah, Kieran says very much he agrees that fit is huge. Not everybody is a good or great fit for every opportunity. It's a big filter that he applies, often ahead of qualifications and experience.
Well said. Well said. Yeah.
Yeah. And Jonas, if you can get the customers with you on a journey, they'll become part of the journey and likely to become loyal ambassadors. I love that.
Oh, yeah. And Rebecca Jenkins talks a lot about this too. That even through failure, sometimes with a customer, we can bring them back on board again because trust is often built through something falling over, but you actually proving that you can deliver against, a failure. Laurence, what do you think?
Yeah. Yes, I think that's yeah. But the bottom line is yes. You're right. That's it. It's a very blunt statement, but it's true.
Yeah. Yeah. Great. Thank you, Sarah.
Yeah. Just something I was thinking about when you were talking about sort of having the culture of a company and the values and the soft skills, which, let's face it, a lot of companies don't spend time on and just assume people have those skills, and they don't necessarily. And I'm just thinking, Andrew, you've worked with some big companies with their team strategic to say, what are your goals? Let's pull it out. Let's pull together, who are you? What do you stand for? And what do you want to look like? And sometimes you do just need somebody else to come in from the outside and help you tease it out, because sometimes you just can't see it yourself.
Yeah, that external facilitation on developing people's culture, I think, is massively important. And Laurence, have you experienced that? Have you brought people in from outside just to kind of help you shape culture at NLP?
Not especially, although in some ways maybe I was. I don't want to take credit for it because it's not entirely my doing.
Yeah.
But I think sometimes bringing in new people to your business is. I'm pretty much the only. I think I am the only ever lateral hire partner that succeeded anyway at my firm. So most of the other partners grew through the business, which I think is a powerful thing as well, by the way, because they understood the NLP way, the NLP code, all the way through from maybe a senior member of the. When I say senior in accounting terms, it's like a qualified person.
Okay,
doesn't mean
gotcha.
necessarily a senior member of the team, all the way through to partnership. Whereas I literally joined as a lateral hire at partner level, and I had some pretty strong views because I'm gobby. I had some pretty strong views on things that I felt needed to be fine-tuned. I own it, and I made it very clear that I felt that there were things that needed to be refined, like the recruitment processes we were current at that point we were running. I felt they were not at the level that they should be. They weren't deep dive enough. So I enhanced that. And also, we put our values down on a bit of paper for the first time, like I said a few moments ago, and really soul searched around the partner table and sort of decided whether or not we still felt those values were relevant to us now.
Good.
Teased out the right ones. I think we had some stuff down on paper, very honestly, that was just
Just a
yeah,
word.
it was just there. Needed
Yeah.
something. So yeah, that was.
Yeah, and that brings me on to a sort of subtle variant of that, actually. So, how do you advise, that whole risk management and decision-making approach when it comes to scaling up businesses and potential growth opportunities with all the things that we've been talking about? How does that affect risk management and decision-making, Laurence?
For my clients,
Yeah, and for
me
you as a
advising.
business. Yeah, and for your
Well,
clients, absolutely. Yeah.
and we're very quickly introspectively. Obviously, we're a firm of accountants, and therefore we're naturally more risk averse than maybe other businesses are.
Yeah.
But my clients, on the other hand, are pretty much the other end of the spectrum. So as I said, I look at lots of very fast growth digital agencies and lots of fast growth tech businesses. Now, by nature, these are businesses that are prepared to innovate and take risks. That comes with challenges, and as we all know, it doesn't always work. Okay, so that's part of that comes with the territory. If you know that for every one or two tech clients that do phenomenally well, I've got some clients that are really very, very big now. Others maybe fall by the wayside because they don't hit their investment targets, or the product doesn't quite land like I hoped it would. The way I work, I'm an entrepreneurial accountant. Okay, I'm an entrepreneur almost first and an accountant second. I ran my own many moons ago, and so I kind of know what it's like to be on the other side of the fence. And I think for me, again, that's another one of my USPs, maybe, because clients will often use me as a sounding board. They'll call me up on non-accounting matters. It could be more operational or commercial queries and concerns they've got, and ask for my counsel on it. It might be. I always caveat it, of course, because it's not sort of official advice. But I would always say to them, look, let's talk it through. Let's have a chat about it. What are your concerns and why? And I'll give you my human opinion on it.
Nice.
As an advisor, but also as a friend. I know that sounds a bit weird, but it's true. I think lots of accountants focus on the compliance, but most business owners need more than compliance.
Yeah.
They really do need that kind of quasi FD type touch. So yeah, that's how I handle it. I think we never try and suppress risk, because I think to a degree risk sometimes is one step away from the holy grail. Sometimes taking that extra bit of chance as a tech business, that extra little sprinkle of innovation can be the difference between big win or failure. So I don't ever suppress, but I always try and set out the pros and cons and the kind of the legitimate reasons why they might and might not want to do it.
And maybe that's where, interesting that you mentioned that accountancy is naturally risk averse, but actually what you've recognized that as a success factor for NLP, and I think other accountants could take note of this as well, is, don't focus on so much on the risk, but actually really understanding that actually we're in a new world of entrepreneurship, and that needs to be taken to a new level. Whilst balancing the whole thing about risk. So I think there's a growing up of risk from what I can hear from what you're saying, Laurence.
There is a growing up, and I don't want to come across as gung ho here either.
No,
because
indeed.
Businesses still have a responsibility to
Absolutely.
their investors.
Yeah.
Responsibility to their team, right? Making reckless decisions is not the way forward either.
No.
It's about taking really calculated, measured risks,
well managed risks,
and assessing the well managed risks. I think risk in general is okay as long as it's very carefully thought through in advance.
There's a strategy behind it, right?
That's the point.
I think that's well said, and planning around
Correct.
a strategy to help you there. Fascinating. Listen, we're coming to the end of the show now, and we're starting to wrap up. But and I just wanted to bring up your website here. So this is the NLP Nyman Libson Paul website, and and just quickly looking through it here. Look at this. I love the way we can just scroll through this. So this is and these are the list of the partners. There's a lovely picture here of Laurence somewhere or other. I can't see him right now, but he's there somewhere. There he is, right in the middle on the middle row there. Looking very, very, very nice there, and professional. So talk us a little bit about your call to action for us, Laurence.
Well, look, I don't ever do a hard sell. It's not
No.
my it's not my bag. But
Yeah.
I think hopefully you've got a sense for how I work,
Mm.
and genuinely, this is how I work. So my clients would testify that that is the case. We are a sizable London-based practice, but we do have a global footprint now. So we do deal with lots of international businesses and national. I've got clients up north all the way down to the south coast. We really do focus on delivering with a human touch, which is why today's main theme was around that. But if you've got a business that's growing, you maybe feel like the service you're receiving from your own accountant is maybe a little deficient, or you'd like to see what an alternative service might look like, then of course, feel free to reach out. I always give everyone at least an hour of my time, obviously no charge. It would be a pleasure to meet some new people here anyway. I always, for me, I love meeting people anyway. I'm a people person, so I will always give people the time. And if I can help in any way, especially the LinkedIn community, because I owe a lot to the LinkedIn community, then of course I will.
No, lovely, thank you. And hopefully the links will end up in the feed very shortly. So, and I think that's important too, that we just pop those links in. So whoever's going to do that, whether that's Marketing CX or Sarah, can just do that. Pop those links into the feed for us. Thank you. And Laurence, just thank you so much for just such an inspirational, just wonderful. Thank you. And, enlightening us today, Laurence, with your thoughts. And what an extraordinary conversation we've had with you today, Mr. Fishman. Fantastic. We loved having you on the show. Look, this show will be on podcast too shortly, people. And please remember to subscribe to our Leaders Live email list to get access to our Lead Well program and all that kind of stuff. And this really does help us to grow and evolve. As well as we talked about earlier about growing and evolving, and we can only do it through you as people subscribing. So that's how this business works, very much a people business. So the links will be in the feed shortly as well for this. So for both Laurence and for my stuff. So yeah, there we go. And there they are. Thank you, Tilly, for posting those. And if you're looking for any LinkedIn networking experience, Marketing CX, Tilly's mob, Tilly's gang are fantastic at that. They do all of my LinkedIn stuff. A quick shout out for Tilly there. And before I get on to what's going on in the next few weeks, a quick reminder, look, Leaders Live is a free show for all leaders, directors, managers, entrepreneurs who are interested in the business growth, just like we talked about with Laurence today, through infotainment, edutainment, and enjoy taking part in extraordinary conversations. And together, in this community, we love to make the world betterer, folks. I love that expression. And we want to bring a spirit of freedom, of fun, of joy, and love, and a feel-good factor in all of our working lives. And our sponsors, quick shout out for our sponsors. Here's just a quick reel on what Ghost is all about, our sponsors. I'll just play this. Here we go. Brilliant. So Ghost are a brand and design agency, folks, with an exceptional team. We talked about exceptional teams today of highly skilled and vibrant people that work together and collaborate to help develop and shape brands to inspire businesses just like yours. And actually, Leaders Live branding was inspired by them as well. So quick shout out for them. And just changing scene very quickly and back to Sarah for a moment and talking about CTAs. Just a little bit of brief action on the PDX call to action there, Sarah, for us.
It's been really interesting. I think first and foremost, the chat with Laurence has been really enlightening, very helpful. There's a lot of love in the room for you, Laurence.
Yeah.
And I want to say great thanks to Tilly, Marketing CX in the background, because they are fantastic and have been, when LinkedIn doesn't like me, they can put the links in. But more importantly, with Leaders Live, if you're enjoying the show, tell all your friends, subscribe,
Tell all
and
your friends.
let's get more people involved, because it's great.
Yeah, thank you.
And interestingly, the talk today, talking about the human touch, talking about the soft skills and the value of actually pinning down your company culture and goals. Well, that's what Andrew does. So if you want somebody to come in and have a bit of a look, or you just want to chat, pick up the phone, get in touch, because we too love to talk to people.
Lovely. Yep. Thank you for that. And we're going to be finishing on time, which is absolutely brilliant. So, yeah, thank you for that. And the goose for next week, folks. Interesting. We've got Easter coming up, folks, and the clocks change this weekend as well. So we're into British summertime. Yeah, we can't wait. We can't wait for a great summer coming up. And we'll be back again after Easter. So we're going to take 2 weeks Easter break, and then we're going to be back on Tuesday the 18th of April at 8:45 UK time with the ever so popular Kieran O'Donnell again, virtual finance director and founder of Your Own Numbers. Know Your Own Numbers, Own Your Own Numbers, sorry. FD, CFO, award-winning, former head of strategy at TalkTalk and senior roles at Carphone Warehouse and back in his day. And we're going to talk about bookkeepers, actually, how Brill Biz bookkeepers, there's a phrase for you, are an aspirin to for CEOs. Ooh, I love that. I think that deserves a ooh. So yeah, bookkeepers are a great example of coalface startups. So founders and SME CEOs, etc., see incomes and costs, not just track their balance, their bank balances, but other things can be done right, such as VAT, which is a classic as well. So all of these things done when they're done well and done right are impactful. And we talked a little bit about doing things right today as well, having good people around you. And for CEOs to have real-time information really feeds risk-taking and decision-making as well. So that's what Kieran's going to talk about, and how to supercharge your financials through your bookkeepers. So we think you're going to love it. So well, there you go. We can't wait. So be there or be square, folks. So we're going to close out with our outro, folks. So we're going to wave goodbye to you through this outro. Have a great week ahead of you, folks. And thanks again, Laurence. Cheers for now, as we just wave you goodbye. Been great to hang out with you folks today online. Thanks so much for being part of this awesome show and creating this great community vibe. Please subscribe as well, and please invite your business friends and talk about Leaders Live to invite them along, and the podcast will be out shortly. In the meantime, that's a wrap, folks. So see you from Laurence, from Sarah, from me, this week's sponsor, and the rest of the team at Marketing CX who put in the comments in for us. We wish you a great week ahead. Cheers for now, everybody. Thanks again. Cheers for now. Bye-bye.